What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Flex podcast from the Action Network of Fantasy Labs. I'm your host, Chris Raybon. It's NFL week number 16. Fantasy playoffs are here. In a moment, I'll be joined by one of the most accurate fantasy rankers in the game, the odds maker, Sean Koerner. But a quick reminder, all of our fantasy football content is available right now over at fantasylabs.com. Fantasy Labs NFL includes in-season rankings, waiver wire, DFS tips, and much more. Be sure to use code FLEX20 for $20 off at fantasylabs.com/flex. Koerner, how's it going, man? I'm still recovering from, I don't know about you, I'm still recovering from seeing the shock of seeing Phillip Rivers on the field in 2025.
Yeah. Well, sneak peek, I'm gonna have a fun prop around that on the projections pod. But yeah, that was wild to see. I actually I got smoked on his under a half rush attempt prop I took. He had a botch snap where he just fell on it for -5 yards, so that counted. I said, if you can get his rushing yard prop, it was like -230. That was a Z unit play of the year type of thing. There was no way in hell he was finishing with positive rushing yards. But I almost hit that 87-1 triple crown with Keaton Mitchell leading the game in rushing yards. Not sure if you saw, but at the end of the game, he broke loose, where if he would have scored a touchdown there, he would have led the game in rushing. But I still hit his ladder and all that stuff. But Jahor Jordan, the 30-1 one unit. How the hell did he not score? I mean,
so close.
It set up perfectly because, he didn't expect Woody Marks to get hurt, but the path was there because they really had nobody else, and he was clearly the backup running back. He looked great. This is the waiver wire pod, so we might actually be talking about him. But he looked great. I can't believe he didn't score a touchdown, though.
Yeah, I think he got to the 3, and then something stupid happened or whatever. But yeah, that was that was an annoying sweat. But I mean, the process was right, because I remember we didn't know if he was going to get a carry coming into that game. But I was like, he could get a lot of carries or none. You know.
Yep.
But we'll Probably talk about him. But let's start at quarterback. Speaking of the Texans, I know you like Stroud. I think last week. I think you like him again this week, right?
Yeah. Last week I was sort of surprised to see CJ Stroud open up as my QB 13. Ended up having a great week. Finished with 260 yards, 3 touchdowns. Finishes the QB 8 against the Cardinals. So this week I'm not surprised he's opening the week as my QB 13. Another good matchup here against the Raiders. However, the Texans are just massive favorites. What are they, like -14 here against the Raiders? But they have the 3rd highest team total of the week. So, his touchdown odds are still high here. They could get up early and be, run heavy in the second half, which could limit his upside. But, as we've seen, even when the Texans get up big, he'll still occasionally drop back, play action, still chuck it deep to Nico Collins. So he's overcome these types of spots before. So, I consider him more of a high floor option if you're looking for a QB streamer. Again, he's my QB 13, so I think he's going to do good this week. But if you want like a higher ceiling, maybe a guy like Tyler Shook, Jacoby Brissett, even JJ McCarthy might have like a higher ceiling. So it kind of depends what you're going for. But again, CJ Stroud is right on that cusp for QB1 for me to open the week.
Yeah. McCarthy. I don't know about. I guess the ceiling is there, but the floor is probably still too low, even with that performance.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm targeting Shuck if I can't get CJ Stroud. He's been pretty good. Finishes the QB 16 last week, but 24 of 32, which is impressive. Touchdown, no interceptions, and he keeps on running the ball. 8 carries for 32 yards. So he's been one of the better rushing quarterbacks week in, week out since he took over the starting job. And Taysom Hill just not really getting those looks anymore, and he hasn't been that successful in it. So I think Shuck against this Jet defense that just gave up a boatload of fantasy points to Trevor Lawrence, who was the quarterback 1 on the week with 5 touchdowns, 330 yards, 51 on the ground, 6 total touchdowns because he had another rushing. I think Shuck locked and loaded here. So right on that cusp of QB1 startability as well for me. So like him if you can't get Stroud.
Yeah. Last week was the first time I took my chances fading him in the rushing market because the Panthers are very good at limiting, scrambling. But That'll be my last time. Kind of what you hinted at, like the he's kind of taken over that Taysom Hill role, and at times when I would look over, I thought it was Taysom Hill getting like they get them design runs around the goal line now. So yeah, he just has a ton of upside. I always thought he was like pretty good as a passer initially when I first saw him. So yeah, he definitely has QB1 upside this week.
Yeah, I mean the thing with Taysom Hill is he's slower and he's not as much of a threat as a passer.
Yeah.
So it's you might as well just have Shuck taking those snaps as well. So all right, running back, who are you looking at on the wire for week 16?
Yeah, there's a ton of options because we have quite a few injuries. We don't know who's going to actually be out this week, but Michael Carter sticks out for me, who's available in 95% of leagues. But Bam Knight, he's questionable with an ankle injury. We're awaiting the MRI on that, but he was carted off. So as of now, I'd consider Knight doubtful. I mean, maybe they find it's like a low ankle sprain, but why rush him back? So I think there's a good chance Carter could be the workhorse back this week for the Cardinals. We saw him pretty much step into a workhorse role when Knight went down. I mean, this is like the third or fourth, starting back for the Cardinals that's missed time. That's going to miss time potentially. So, Carter would be the next man up. I think DeMercado would potentially step up, capping Carter's upside. But again, I think Carter could be an RB3 flex this week, who's widely available. I wouldn't go nuts bidding on him because again, we don't know for a fact if Knight's out, but that could make Carter, sneaky where you can just get him for a couple bucks if he's out there. And then hopefully this is the last time I have to bring him up. Blake Corum, available in 60% of leagues. I saw a bunch of articles saying just bid the rest of your fab on him. Hopefully, if you've been listening, you don't have to do that because this is another tough matchup again this week against the Seahawks. I consider Corum, like a RB3 flex if you're in a pinch, but he's just been so good and really just splitting snaps with Kyron Williams right now. But I'd be looking ahead next week against the Falcons. That could be a game where Corum might be an RB2 in my rankings, even if Kyron's fully healthy. And at this point, if I kept saying, Corum would be a top 12 back if Kyron misses time, but at this point, I think he'd be like a top 5 back if Kyron were to miss time right now. He's just that good, and this offense is obviously that high scoring. So hopefully you already have Corum, but if not, you probably have to bid the rest of your fab to get him for the next couple weeks. But yeah, Corum it's ridiculous. He's still available in 60% of leagues. Obviously, most of the leagues probably aren't even real, but still just a must add if you haven't yet. I don't know why you wouldn't have already, but man, he's still been one of the best backups in the league.
Yeah, and I think it's going to stay like that because McVay has talked about they want to kind of limit the workloads of both of their top backs to keep them fresh for the playoffs. So I think you're going to see the split at least continue into the playoffs. That's when it might get tricky, but fantasy season's over by then. So
yeah.
Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt I think is interesting. He's still available in just over half of leagues. Chris Rodriguez, somewhat of a surprise scratch last week. He tends to show up on the injury report every week, so you don't usually think he's going to get scratched, but he did. Merritt stepped up with a pretty big game, and the Eagles they've been a run funnel defense. So, they've been excellent against the pass, against the run. They've been kind of middle of the pack, maybe a little worse. So there's a possibility here that you get another good week out of Bill if he gets a start again. Obviously, you have to monitor Rodriguez. I don't think there's been anything official on him for this week yet, but he might end up going on IR. He might end up just being fine. So monitor that. But I think either way, Merritt might just have reclaimed the starting job. Who knows? Because he did have it earlier in the year, and he was getting like 75, 80% of the backfield carries when he did. So I think he's worth an ad. And then, I mean, just to talk about Jordan, I mean, what are the chances that he, Mark's got banged up, Chubb's not been good. So what are the chances? I mean, he has his elevations, like 2 more elevations left, so they could technically just call him up the next 2 weeks. Do you think he's going to be a factor in this backfield, or you think it takes like at least Chubb being out, or what?
Yeah, the problem is he went off for like 100+ yards, right? So everybody knows about him. But yeah, like right now, it's almost impossible to project because Marks and Chubb might return, or they might both be out. We don't know. But I mean, Chubb, he's past his prime, obviously. Marks hasn't been that good. Like if you look at, his success rate, he's been one of the worst running backs in the league, but he just gets so much volume that we play him in fantasy. But Jordan actually looks good. And you kind of mentioned on Playbook Live that Jordan was like a decent prospect, just hasn't seen, a chance yet. So even if Marks is healthy, like Jordan could still mix in. You can't obviously trust Jordan in fantasy, especially the playoffs, if Marks is back. But I think Jordan just looks solid. So they might give him, a chance. So if, Marks and Chubb are both ruled out, Jordan could be like an RB3 flex option at worst. Because this is a great matchup against the Raiders. So yeah, I'd add him. I'd at least try to get him cheap. I wouldn't, blow your load on him. But yeah, he looked great. I still can't believe he didn't score a touchdown, especially on that longer run. But I mean, the upside's there. I just think you got to add him if you can. And there's some other guys like who would it be? So Kamara and Devin Neal are both questionable. They might both miss. So like Evan Hull would be the guy to add to there, or Estime. So there's some backfields here where like you might have two running backs ruled out to make somebody available. So tough, heading into like waivers. But these are kind of guys that you can get for pennies on the dollar, and they might end up starting this week. But yeah, Jordan, I mean, how much would you be willing to spend on him?
I would. It depends. So if I had like a healthy team, I would spend like maybe like a third or something, just because like I'd want him. Number one, I don't want anyone else picking him up.
Yeah, that's true.
Just because there's a chance, like you said, that Marks and Chubb are out. I think he's RB1 if those guys are out, because like Ogunbowale they don't really view him as like a backup. Like he's like a special team / hurry up third down. Like he's got an important role to where they probably wouldn't smash him for like 25 carries. And they might need 25 carries against the Raiders. So yeah, I would bid a lot on Jordan, just on the sense that like I don't want somebody else picking him up and starting him against me. As long as I had like everything else kind of sewed up. And there, like you said, there's a chance that I think he would be close to RB1 if both of those guys were ruled out, because it's not like a game where they project to need to use the passing down back a lot. So yeah, I'm definitely paying attention now. And yeah, he has been on the team for a number of years, just on the practice squad, which I guess is why they cut Schrader, because it looked like he could get a chance. He's another guy, a lot of talent, but he got cut like Saturday night, I think, which is weird. So this Jordan must have ran circles around him in practice or something. I don't know, but I would pay attention to him at least.
British Brooks was just special teams. He didn't see a touch, right? Is he even a real person? So he's not
fullback
at all.
Yeah, he's more. So they started using the fullback with and they were using Jakob Johnson in that role. Jakob, and then they I guess they cut him, and then they brought the tight end back, Bryant, the third tight end. So I guess he filled that kind of role. So yeah, Brooks. Remember that was like 1 week where they tried Brooks at the goal line like 2 or 3 times, and then he didn't get in. Yeah, I don't think he's carried.
He's got to be the smallest fullback ever. He's only like 220, so he's like in no man's land. He's not a running back. He's not a fullback, so he's a non-factor. So yeah, and again, they're 2 touchdown favorites against the Raiders. Yeah, like. Why even force Marks and Chubb back? I think they should just unleash Jordan here. So,
they might.
Yeah, I try to scoop him up, but again, he had to go for 100+ yards, right? So now everybody knows who he is. So maybe you have to bid a little bit more, but yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, with him. It's only like 4. It should only be like 4 to 6. Like, there's not many teams left to probably competing over him. So I would, definitely try to get him on your roster, like regardless. But I mean, don't. Right. Yeah, if you have other issues, save some fab. But yeah, definitely worse than that, I think. Wide receiver, who are we looking at?
Yeah, I think it's a good week. Wide receiver again. Luther Burden is still available in 83% of leagues. He is a must add. They're hard to project right now because Burton himself picked up an ankle injury. He was forced out, early in the third quarter, but he's day to day. And Roma Dunze, he was active, and then they, made him a scratch right before the game. That was crazy. He's listed as week to week. I think they're going to try to get him right. And he's probably, closer to doubtful this week. So that's, Burton right at his ceiling for me. assuming he's closer to 100%. So I have him as wide receiver 28 to open the week in a tough matchup against the Packers. But man, he flashed a ton of that upside last week. He caught 6 balls for 84 yards. And like I said, almost a half because he got knocked out early in the third quarter. So that was about a half of action against the Browns for him. And if you watched him, I mean, he pops on film. I mean, he just passes the eye test if you ever see him catch the ball. But yeah, he has a ton of upside. So yeah, he's opening the week as my wide receiver 28. Still widely available out there. And then guy on the other side, Jaden Reed, also still available in 59% of leagues. He's my wide receiver 31 to open the week because he's back to his usual role. And I'm projecting Christian Watson to play through this shoulder chest injury, but there's a chance he could miss. We don't even know his status yet, so Reed's rank might go up even more for me. And Parsons tearing his ACL is going to hurt their defense, so they might be forced to throw a little bit more down the stretch here. So that's going to help Reed's floor ceiling combo a bit as well. So again, Reed's he's available in 60% of leagues, and he's just inside my top 35. So he's a guy I think you should add if you need some wide receiver help as well.
Yeah, Jaden Reed, especially with if Watson misses, I think that puts Reed back in a familiar kind of position because Watson's been out most of everybody's tenure in that offense. Another guy, I hate to have to do this, but A.D. Mitchell is still available in about 84% of leagues. Guess he's the Jets' #1 receiver. Another good game for him against Jacksonville, 6 catches, 58 yards, a touchdown on 9 targets. So this Jets team is just a mess right now, but they'll probably have to be throwing. So A.D. Mitchell, right inside my top 36 at wide receiver. So I think he's worth a dart throw here if you need wide receiver help going into the playoffs.
Yeah, did you see he caught that ball that it got tipped? I don't even think it was intended for him, and it got tipped, and he managed to catch it before it hit the ground. I mean, we are seeing some plays from him that I've been kind of waiting for. So if he ever gets a court, we don't even know who's starting this week, but he's somebody going forward could be a stud. So yeah, I'm all for just adding him if he's available, but if it's Brady Cook, who the hell knows what's going to happen? But hopefully someone like Tyrod can return this week, and then he might be like a wide receiver 2 option down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean Cook was good enough to him last week, but it's disgusting quarterbacks situation for the Jets. Yeah. Tight end who we like week 16.
There are so many options. It's a great week to need a tight end off the waiver wire, and another reason why it's kind of tough drafting a tight end in that 5 to 10 range heading into the season because again you either just want a stud that you can just play all season long, or just roll the dice later in the draft because again every week it seems like there's potential league winners week in and week out. So I'm going to go with Colby Parkinson here, available in 95% of leagues. I was, high on him last week. And he went off, 5 catches, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns, and what's a pretty tough matchup against the Lions. So I like him again here this week, especially since it seems like, Devontae Adams is probably going to miss here. So, someone like Parkinson's playing time and target share probably get a boost, and his chances of catching a touchdown probably go up. But, this is a tougher matchup. They're at Seattle. It could be raining there. But it's a game they could be forced to throw a little bit more too. So, I mean, initially, I have Parkinson ranked as my tight end 6. That might be a bit high, but either way, he's probably going to end up inside my top 10 this week. So, I mean, if he's out there, I'd be aggressive trying to get him. But again, there's so many options that, if you need a tight end, there's plenty of options where you could easily get, tight end 1 for week 16 this week.
Yeah, a couple guys. I think Parkinson's the top tight end as well. Top 10 guy. Aronde Gadsden. I think talked about him on the projections pod last week, but everyone was just getting too low on him. He did have, we kind of talked about, he'll probably have a couple bad games at some point. but he kind of reemerged a little bit last week. Still available in over 50% of leagues, and they're playing the Dallas Cowboys, zone heavy team, in good conditions. So I think that he needs to be back on people's rosters. He should be much more than 50%. And then Darren Waller, going against Cincinnati, which is like the magic, bullet against tight ends. Now the Ravens didn't really do much. I mean, it was just a weird game, division game, shutout, but I still think Waller deserves a look. 63% available going up against the Bengals, who have given up, like 1.5x more production to tight ends than any other team in the league. So those two guys kind of stick out as guys that could be, league winners along with Parkinson this week. Defense. Who are we looking at?
I'm going to go with the Saints here. Available in 83% of leagues. Obviously, they should be rostered in many formats, but they open as my number 3 defense against the Jets. And that's assuming that Brady Cook does get the start because, he has 5 picks in 2 games now, 9 sacks. So this is like the ultimate matchup play. But, if Tyrod or maybe Justin Fields were able to return, you could see my rank for the Saints drop. So they're not a defense I would really bid much fab on, if any, because there's some other decent options this week. But at least to open the week, the Saints are a top 5 defense for me.
Yeah, I mean, they're actually a solid defense. I don't think they're like a bad defense either. So they probably would still have success, in that matchup. I'm going with the 49ers, even though they didn't do much last week. I still think against Phillip Rivers, you want to target him. I mean, he threw for like 120 yards and, just didn't look very mobile at all. And the Niners, they're capable of putting up some points. So, they could get the Colts to have to throw a lot. So, I think they'll just throw naturally more, second game. So that could lead to more mistakes. So I still like the Niners available in just over half of leagues going up against the Colts. But yeah, number of options. So check our ranks. Kicker. Who do you like a kicker?
Yeah, so this is the week where, I've been rolling with Harrison Mevis, who had a nice game last week, 12 points. But this is the week I was worried about. They're at Seattle. It could be raining there. So I'm going to pivot to Eddie Pinheiro here, your guy.
Right.
He's available in like 83% league, so widely available at Indy. So again, he's indoors, don't have to worry about weather here. And a game where the Niners are now 5.5 point favorites at the Colts, which was unthinkable a few weeks ago when Daniel Jones is healthy and they were looking like a Super Bowl contender. So this is a game where the Niners could be playing with a comfortable lead, settle for more field goals. And, the Colts defense is still decent. And, Sauce Gardner might return this week. So, it might be more likely that they have to settle for a couple of field goals here. So, yeah, Pinheiro opens the week as my number 5 kicker. And, Will Reichert's my number 3 kicker. But, again, that game's at the Giants. So, I don't know. There could be some weather concerns there. They might have some cables or wires to help block, a Reichert field goal. But I think, to open the week at least, Pinheiro's the safer play. So I like, adding him where I can.
Yeah, there's a lot of kickers kind of in weird situations. I mean, the guy that's ranked the highest for me is actually Borregales of the Patriots. He's like my kicker 7, but in Baltimore, that there is some weather concerns there. So if it wasn't him, it would probably end up being Riley Patterson, who's at home against the Bengals. But the thing with Patterson is he doesn't kick a lot of deep field goals. So that, that's kind of shaky. And then it's like Cam Little as well, but he's at Denver. So has the mile high air. So yeah, check the rankings. Cause he could kick like an 80-yard field goal in that game. I don't know where people's bonuses stop actually. So like if he could get like eight points for the 80-yarder or something like that. He might be the option, but yeah, as of now, it's still Borregales. It's early in the week, so I don't make too many adjustments yet, but definitely check the rankings because, there's weather in most of the outdoor games for this week. So it might be beneficial to avoid it altogether and just go with, kicker in a dome or a warm weather spot. All right. That's going to do it for our week 16 waiver spot here on the Fantasy Flex podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We'll have the projections episode and then DFS later in the week. You can check out the Fantasy Labs app for all of our projections and more, and use code FLEX20 for $20 off an NFL subscription. Sean is on X at @_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Be sure to follow Playbook on X as well. Until next time, let's get this money.